Hey guys, I'm going to show you some more ways to break out of the map, mostly with the seeker tank. We'll see a lot of this. Now in this first section where you first get the seeker tank, you'll notice that they have trees and stuff to block your getting out of this section so you can, roam around the area. In fact, they put an invisible wall over here to keep you from getting over that. And the trees also extend pretty high up. You can actually kind of wiggle your way over there to test out how high the wall is. But it's pretty high, and I think it's impossible to get past through this way. But luckily in this section there's a pretty big break you can do. There's a little shortcut over here I didn't show off in the main videos because I didn't want to bypass everything. But if you float, you can get right up here. You notice this big structure over here in the back. You loop around in the normal game. You get on a couple platforms, work your way up. I had to cut because I fell off. You can just keep working your way up, work your way up slopes, and get right on top of everything. This is where the Seeker Tank's hover ability really comes in handy. If you're trying to break the game, break the maps a bit, the Seeker Tank, any place with the Seeker Tank can be broken somehow. And we can float over here and we're out of the map now, and we can fly along the water out here. You have to kind of be careful of the cliff face though, because they're only visible from one side sensibly. So you can run into them and get kind of stuck. But yeah, once you're out here you can really mess with the game's scripting kind of. I'm going to try to trim a little bit out, moving around the left side right now. And in a little bit, you'll see a black flash across the screen because I think I passed through one of those zones of visibility things. Yeah, like that. And then I crashed into a wall. Eventually. There it is. Yeah, I thought I was done for here because once you crash in, you're kind of doomed. But once I got out, it sort of wedged its way through and let me keep driving. Anyways, this is right over near the place you end this section on, where the dropships come in and start firing at you right near Arnis. And this battle is a lot different with a Seeker Tank, let me tell you. And it even triggers it, and I think Marin and Kalem and Norm actually pop up in this section. Transport it over. You can do some more hopping around up here, but I decided to drive out to Arnis and show off that, yeah, everything is passed through. See, originally you're supposed to drive out here in a Razor, drive out towards the section in a Razor, which would make a lot more sense in the awkward transition they ended up with. And the water in this game is really weird. You don't want to mess with it. Yeah, so anyways, later in Chapter 5 when you get this Seeker Tank, this section is so unbelievably broken. We're going to spend a couple minutes here. If you jump off to this side and jump out at the right time, you can actually pass below the section where the game normally kills you at a fall distance. And then you can just run around on the water down here. And that isn't even the worst part of it. There are some parts that I'll show in just a second that are way, way worse. And I can't believe they didn't find this kind of stuff and fix it. So off this side, you turn left and you can just pass through this wall here and see inside and everything. Fortunately, you typically die when you fall down this way, just because you have nothing to really get you past the fall, the distance the fall normally takes you. But I somehow managed to do it there and get under the map again and onto the water. But now off to the right side back here, which is sort of the same thing, but you gotta be careful. This section over here is filled with invisible walls, and I actually got stuck for a solid minute. I had to cut that out and wiggle my way through. You can wiggle out of almost everything in the secret tank if you take the time for it. And again, just on the opposite side. This is one of my favorite things to do in this section though. Launch off this turret and land on the dropship. The dropship really doesn't know what to do when Gideon is inside it or on top of it. In fact, it will shoot itself to death with rockets if you do it too much. I was actually trying to get over here, see if I could land on that bridge there, because normally it kills you when you get there, but they put a big invisible wall there. But once you get to this bridge section, you blow out the glass and jump on top. This building up here sort of has a default texture, this sort of elevator entryway, and you jump up on top. You can see through everything to the floor. It's not exactly breaking out of the map, but I thought it was, kind of showed off some of the shoddy work they did in some parts. This is a big break, and I've got a lot of work to do here actually. If you jump on this hallway entry here, the Aurelians kind of make it a big mess for you, but if you jump on top and then time shift to the outer circle here, you can actually get on top and bypass this entire checkpoint here where they make you fight things. I've screwed it up there, but trust me, it works. Fortunately, as soon as I got up here the first time, it gave me a checkpoint because I killed all the Aurelians that were giving me such trouble. Anyways, now that we're outside this section, there's so many things about this section. Theoretically, Lift and Shatter are the only skippable powers in the game because of this break. Shatter is potentially skippable. It's just really tricky because this area has sort of water running along the ground to serve as a base because it's the only sort of solid section of the entire level. And there's that random door down there. But Shatter is potentially skippable because it takes place during a cutscene in the middle of a part or a chapter. And that means if you trigger the last cutscene of the chapter that transitions you to the next area, you can potentially skip it. And the same with Lift. They give you Lift in the middle of a section, and if you can find a way to break out of that, it's totally possible to skip both of them. Not exactly a wise thing, but it's kind of a cool little thing to mess with, I think. Now, I'm doing something here which involves sort of hopping with the Seeker tank. That gives it more lift and lets it jump a little higher. But once you drive up here, you can launch over this rock in the center and you're outside the map again. It's really ridiculous. Not a whole lot to be done here, but an interesting view from inside. Now, this is another break that took a while. I got it my very first attempt trying this, the first time I had an idea about it, but it took me so many re-records to try to get this right. You can bounce between these rocks over here ever so slowly. You kind of got to keep momentum and keep the Seeker tank hover charge high, but you can, outside the map again. Now normally it doesn't let me drive along the water like this, it just kills me because I'm sort of in the fall zone, but I was lucky this time and managed to drive further than usual. Random tiles around the place, and then it kills me. But yeah, here's a break with time shift, not that serious, but you can actually time shift straight through this glass. It's definitely something they didn't intend for you to do, but it's completely possible. And this is some of my favorite Seeker tank breaks. Now, there's this big rock over here, and you can just float through the canopy of rocks they have in this section. Almost all of them are completely drive-throughable. Yeah, launch over, and you'll notice I hit the water and I sink in. This is important. You'll see this in just a second. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. This glitch is very important. For example, in this section, you notice how I'm dipped in the water? Well, if I raise up lower and then fire, I dip even further underneath the lava. So I decided to use some of the objects in the environment like this to fall down below the lava's buoyancy layer. And now I'm driving on the bottom of the map, which if you spawn a scythe you can do normally if you just drive off into the lava because it doesn't have any sort of buoyancy. But this is pretty interesting because you can do it with a seeker tank, and it's extremely easy to do. You don't even have to really work at it. Just falling into the lava only requires that you drop a fair distance from the sky into the lava, and don't ask me how it works. I'm not a programmer. I just play this game excessively. Those rocks there are actually crumble rocks that fall from the ceiling during your escape, and yeah. You can also bypass, I think I've shown this off, bypass the big invisible wall they put up here. Again, you kind of have to use this sentry turret over here and use some more hover mischief. And this lets you actually fight a Seeker Elite with a Seeker Tank, which is kind of interesting. You don't see that dynamic, but they can deflect Seeker Tank bolts, so you really have to be careful when you're fighting them. Generally, the best strategy when you're using a Seeker Tank against a Seeker Elite is just ram them over and over again against the wall. They take a lot of punishment though. It takes a while to take one down. There we go. I don't know why I started firing around this area. I guess I was looking for more breaks I could maybe get on camera. Anyways, once you get through that door, you can kind of mess around in here. You see these barricades up front. You can kind of boost off of them, hover off of them to get a little bit of speed and height and jump to these upper platforms. There's not a whole lot you can do up there, unfortunately. You can do a couple breaks, but I'll be showing off one of the more fun ways to break out of this section in just a second. Here it is. This is my absolute favorite break, I think, in the entire game. This slope here allows you to build up enough lift, in fact that bump there, to reach this platform, which then allows you to reach the tree. The tree has this really odd, again, buoyancy layer thing that you can sort of build up, hover on. I don't even know how to describe it. But it lets you jump to this log, which lets you go further up this area and do something else. But I fell through the environment in this section. That was kind of a bummer. Alright, so you make your way up this cliff, build up some momentum, and then you need to aim for this sort of middle cliff here. Now, slopes are incredibly important when you're trying to break with a Seeker Tank. Pretty much the Seeker Tank can almost overpower any sort of slope if you're dedicated enough. There are some it can't, but there are a few exceptions. So if you just keep working at this cliff, you can eventually get to the top of it, and you can actually reach the top of the bounding box of this level, hit the very top of it, and it won't let you go any further. But it lets you see off the map and everything, so it's pretty interesting to me. And there's the top of the map. So there's a lot of different directions you can go in this section. You can see lots of sort of half-made areas. I decided to go off this way because it sort of covers the same area. You can see they have the sort of weird filter on the ground, filter on top of the weird water filter. But I really like this section because it's so weird and things are definitely not right. I just totally broke the game in some way. When you're going along this end, you can really get stuck because you're like hugging the wall, the inside wall, really tight in this area. And of course I got stuck, and I think that seeker tank blew up my ride, or started to blow it up. And that can happen through the wall. And yeah, this is what the map looks like from the outside. So that's some of the stuff you can do with the seeker tank. I haven't spent an incredible amount of time yet on the seeker tank stuff, but that's quite a bit of breaking. I'll see you guys next time.